Which pending 2026 free agents do the Denver Broncos have to find a way to re-sign? And when you're putting together your Thanksgiving plate this holiday season, which side dish reigns supreme? Those will be the focus of today's rundown. Thank you so much for joining us. While you're here, make sure you like and subscribe to our Denver Sports 1043 The Fan YouTube channel. You can find us at Denver Sports 1043 on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. And if you're watching us on X or on Facebook, we love you. We appreciate you. Like, subscribe, comment, turn on those notifications so that you never miss a moment with us. It is Thanksgiving Eve here at Denver Sports 1043 The Fan, and we would like to have a little bit of a discussion in that arena. But first, I want to welcome in friend of the show, co-host of Stokely and Evans with Mark Schlereth, Mike Evans. Mike, how you doing?
I'm doing great. You look like you're giving off the vibe like you're ready to head out and hunt for your
It is funny
dinner.
that you say that, because the last time that I celebrated Thanksgiving, a year ago almost to the day, I was visiting my brother-in-law, and that is exactly what we did. We didn't go turkey hunting, but we did go fowl hunting. We brought home about 20 birds.
Okay.
And that was the week of Thanksgiving, and we brought those home and cooked them leading up to the holiday. And then, the professionals took over for the actual Thanksgiving dinner. Are you a commander in the kitchen on Thanksgiving, or do you defer? You're a good sous chef.
I defer. I sit back. I tell my wife, don't worry, when it's all said and done, I will do all the dishes, but she wants me out of her kitchen, and I'm more than happy to oblige.
I think that's a fair trade. I think it's an underrated sacrifice, by the way, because when you have unbuckled a button or two on the pants, when you've gone into sweatpants mode after engorging on a Thanksgiving feast, all you want to do is sit and digest during the football game. So getting up and scrubbing dishes and loading and soaking and all that stuff, that actually is a tough mindset sometimes to wrap your head around.
The good news is there's football on, right? So you got a great distraction while you're doing the dishes. So you're going to watch the football game anyway. And so now you get to be a hero by multitasking. You do the dishes, you get the bonus points, and you're watching football anyway. So to me, it's a win-win. Follow my advice, guys.
Follow most of Mike Evans' advice. You can't say all, because sometimes he says things that just make me go, oh my God.
There is a board.
And there is a board.
Yeah,
there is a board. It's now maybe becoming more of like a wall.
Yeah.
Because
a mural.
Yes. Poster board only has so many sizes.
Yes.
But I want to get into a Thanksgiving conversation here in a little bit, and you are the perfect person to run it by. But until then, I want to make sure we touch on some Denver Broncos here, because there's a conversation swirling or starting to as the Broncos come off of their bye week, getting ready for a Sunday Night Football matchup against the Commanders, and really a backstretch of a season that's going to, I think, have a significant impact on what the attitude and the mentality is going into the playoffs, right? They're in position, not pole position anymore because the Patriots have a game in hand, but they are firmly in position to chase after the number one seed in the AFC. And they have quite a long runway in front of them, I think, of possibilities of how this season could end. But I think people are already starting to take maybe one eye and look beyond the 2025 season because of names that are coming up in free agency in 2026. There is a pretty significant list of pending free agents for the Denver Broncos. You can see it there on your screen. You have couple of D linemen and John Franklin-Myers, starter Malcolm Roach, rotational player. You're starting running back up until injury, J.K. Dobbins. You're starting center and Luke Wattenberg, starting tight end in Adam Troutman, and then a couple of key reserves in P.J. Locke and Justin Sternad, who's basically a pseudo starter in the 2025 season because of injuries and suspensions and what have you. Where is your head at, acknowledging again that we're peeking a little bit of an eye forward on 2026 and away from what's here in 2025? But when you look at that list, Mike, what pending free agents stand out to you as guys who you've observed thus far and said, hey, Sean Payton, George Payton, Greg Penner, we got to find a way to keep these guys in-house beyond this season?
Just a couple of ground rules I want to establish. Are we going to overpay for these guys, or if it's a good deal? If it's
standard free agency rules apply, which means you're probably going to pay a slight positional premium no matter where you look.
All right, then there's only two guys on that list that I really would go for. I'd either go with John Franklin-Myers or Malcolm Roach. I don't think you need to overpay for both of them. I think they have enough depth along their defensive line to do that. So one of the two, it seems like Roach is probably maybe more of where the Broncos front office would go over John Franklin Myers. They've had enough opportunities to re-up with John Franklin Myers, and they haven't done that yet. So that tells me they're prepared to move on from him. So I'd say Malcolm Roach and maybe Luke Wattenberg. That's it. Because otherwise, you could probably go out and get somebody else, another center, but you got to overpay for somebody who's probably as good or maybe not as good as Wattenberg, or you're going to have to draft a center. I'd rather just pay Wattenberg. I don't think it's a positional on the offensive line. You have to pay an exorbitant sum. You're not doing a tackle. You're not even doing a guard. Center, I think you can get away without having to pay a lot. So I would go with Wattenberg and Roach, and everybody else I'd be prepared to let them move on.
I agree with you on the John Franklin Myers front. The Broncos have had plenty of opportunity to engage in discussions. He's certainly been vocal about wanting a new contract and putting it out there on social media that he is looking for X, Y, and Z. And the Broncos just haven't seemed to bite. I mean, as early as this past week, a couple of days ago on Monday, Sean Payton talking about how, they've engaged with a handful of players about potentially bringing them back and working a contract out before the end of the season, and JFM doesn't seem to be one of them. So I would agree with you. I think they are kind of leaning more in the Malcolm Roach lane of things. I think maybe for financial reasons, for fit reasons. And I also agree. I don't think you need to keep both. I don't think you have the luxury of doing that beyond this season. Luke Wattenberg, I think he's probably the lowest profile offensive lineman that the Broncos have in terms of a starting lineup. And it is one of those things, though, where it's kind of in the vein, I think, of like kicker, right? Where you kind of take it for granted sometimes and you don't really notice how much of a drop-off you can experience until it happens. I think we experienced a lot of that with Lloyd Cushenberry prior to Wattenberg's arrival. So I wouldn't mind them trying to figure something out. I don't think you're going to break the bank in that scenario by any means.
But were you really heartbroken when Cushenberry left?
No. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. But because it wasn't good enough.
Right.
I think with Luke Wattenberg, by and large, I think it's been fine. I think it's. I don't think we're not coming in here and you sit across from a former offensive lineman, 3-time Super Bowl champ every morning, and I don't think there's been many times where he's come into the studio and said, "Boy, Luke Wattenberg just had himself a game."
Right.
You know what I mean? What a difference maker he was in the middle there.
If anything, Stink has said that Wattenberg's a bit undersized and gets pushed around a little bit. Yeah. So, again, maybe I'll even back off that list even more. Malcolm Roach is the only guy. I mean, the Sternads of the world you can find, running backs.
Can you? Okay, because that's where I was going to go next. There's a couple names that you left off there that are either starters or pseudo starters, and the three that immediately pop out are first and foremost J.K. Dobbins. Right. And J.K. Dobbins' season ended as familiarly as it has during his tenure as a pro in an injury that is effectively season ending. I know Rappaport was putting out there that he could come back if they make the Super Bowl. But for the regular season, his time is done. He was on maybe the biggest bargain deal from a dollar perspective compared to his production on the Denver Broncos roster for what they picked him up at. And there's a reason for that. But given what we saw from J.K. Dobbins in weeks essentially 1 through 10 of the regular season, and the fact that they were a top 10 and for a certain chunk of that time, top 5 rushing offense in the National Football League, with a head coach that struggles to run the ball consistently at times and maybe gets a little bit distracted on the Waffle House menu, there's no part of you that would be intrigued in potentially trying to bring him back at a slightly larger dollar amount than what he's on now?
No, because I'm not minimizing what J.K. Dobbins did. I guess what I'm pointing out is the degree of difficulty, which I don't think is high, in replacing a guy like J.K. Dobbins. I mean, you're talking about somebody who the team that knew him the best, the Chargers, who he was pretty good for. Jim Harbaugh loves to run the football. He didn't feel it was pressing to bring back J.K. Dobbins. Anybody in the NFL could have had J.K. Dobbins out there in free agency. He was out there until July, basically right before the start of camp. And he signed a 1-year veteran minimum deal with the Broncos. So I think the league has spoken very clearly about how they feel about J.K. Dobbins and how they feel about what he brings and the ability to replace somebody like that. So I know what I'm saying, and it sounds like I'm being very mean to J.K. Dobbins. Fact of the matter is, I think he's easily replaceable. and you don't have to break the bank to do it.
My counterpoint to that would be, I don't know if, given his path through the NFL so far, how easily replaceable he is. He was a member of the Baltimore Ravens, and he was a productive member there. They had like Gus Edwards and him, and it was kind of a backfield by committee. The Ravens replaced him with Derrick Henry in one of the bigger, off-season acquisitions for the Ravens in recent history. I bet you if you asked Jim Harbaugh, gave him a little shot of truth serum with his khaki pants, he might look at his backfield now with Amari Hampton on injured reserve, Hassan Haskins banged up, their tackle situation devolving the way that it has. I bet you Jim Harbaugh wouldn't mind having J.K. Dobbins
but he was
right now.
But he was willing. He wanted to have Najee Harris over J.K. Dobbins,
and I don't think that's aged well, is what I'm saying. I think
Najee Harris got hurt. J.K. Dobbins got hurt.
But all of the running backs that they tried to replace him with got hurt.
But you notice a theme here? Running backs get hurt. And I just think that
But J.K. Dobbins has a higher ceiling than any. Now, Najee Harris has had some productive seasons with the Pittsburgh Steelers. But I would put J.K. Dobbins' production when healthy up against any of the Chargers running backs. Frankly, any of the Broncos running backs when healthy. And it's better. So if you're acknowledging running backs get hurt, I think that means that you have to have a bigger stable sometimes than maybe you would like, and there's more of a committee approach to it. But I don't think J.K. Dobbins is as easily replaceable outside of the Derrick Henry situation in Baltimore as it might seem on the surface. Are we confident with the replacements?
Are you putting J.K. Dobbins in like a class similar to Derrick Henry?
No. Well,
okay.
No.
All right. Then what I'm saying is that J.K. Dobbins swims in a pool that's chock full of a lot of J.K. Dobbins types.
No, I actually think J.K. Dobbins.
I don't think it's hard to find another running back like J.K. Dobbins. Again,
the Chargers don't have one, and the Broncos.
No, but you're talking about
his last two teams.
But you're talking about if there was this universal league-wide opinion of J.K. Dobbins that you seem to have, then why was he out there for anybody to have him until July? And even then, he signed a veteran deal for basically peanuts.
Listen, I'm not here to justify or validate the moves or non-moves by other teams, but there's been a handful of teams that took a chance on him, including the Broncos,
market,
and they got heavy returns
on the investment.
Is the
market. Eventually, the market kind of is established for a player, and that's what I'm saying is J.K. Dobbins' market, and I don't think it's hard to find other players of that ilk.
I think that argument stands more firmly if we were talking about an Adam Troutman than a J.K. Dobbins. I think you can find like Adam Troutman's a starting tight end for the Broncos. I think there's a lot more Adam Troutmans out there than there are J.K. Dobbins. That's not a slight on Adam Troutman. I know he's Sean's boy. I know what he brings as a blocker. And I mean,
we're in agreement on Adam Troutman, yes, but I think we definitely disagree on Dobbins. I
also don't think it's going to cost you that much either. It might be a couple $1 million, difference.
Well, especially now with him coming off the injury. Right. So are you saying
I would like them to bring J.K. Dobbins. I could see a situation where they bring J.K. Dobbins back and maybe there's somebody else and you're not relying on R.J. Harvey to be your backup to J.K. there, and he's more of a niche type of role, which as a second round running back, maybe you don't love that current situation, but that's kind of where we're at. I think J.K. Dobbins with a solid 1-2 punch to help you offset some of that injury with a similar skill set is better than just saying, hey, no J.K. Dobbins, we're going to try to have R.J. Harvey be the guy, and then maybe it's more of Jaleel and Tyler Bidet and drafted running back TBD.
Am I bringing back J.K. Dobbins on basically the deal I signed him for this year? Then I'd say sure. Yeah. Sure.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to see how it pans out because the way that this Broncos season ends, I think we can all feel pretty confident they're going to be a postseason team. So the way that it ends in the race for the division with the Chargers, they still have a game on the schedule at the end of the season upcoming with them. They've got to play the Raiders again and the Chiefs. So a lot of divisional moving and shaking to happen there. And then, you've got this race in the AFC with the Colts and the Patriots and all that. So depending on how that shakes out and what their postseason looks like and the way that their season ends, whenever it ends, up to and including a Super Bowl appearance and or victory, I think is going to have a significant sway in the offseason mindset and direction. And I have a feeling J.K. Dobbins or no J.K. Dobbins, the backfield's going to look different next year.
Well, and this whole conversation about free agents is a good one to have because with the Russell Wilson cap hit coming off the books, the Broncos are going to be, as of right now, they're going to be one of the top 10 teams in the NFL during the offseason with
In
salary cap space.
Yeah.
So they are going to have money to spend. So when you take a look at that list of free agents, you can start to look at it and say, all right, if they want these guys, there's no reason why they're not going to be able to pay for them.
Before we transition out of Broncos talk, I have to bring up to you for the first time this week our weekly poll question. It's the third installment of running this question by you, by the fan base, by the listeners. And the question for this week coming out of the bye week is, how important is it for the Broncos to secure the number 1 seed in the AFC going into the playoffs, Mike? And your options are very important, somewhat important, not important at all. You can vote on that poll on our Denver Sports 1043 The Fan Twitter page at DEN Sports 1043 or on YouTube at Denver Sports 1043. Go cast your vote, and we will reveal the results on Friday. But Mike, which of those 3 options do you stand behind?
I'm going to go very important, because I look at both conferences really, and there's only one team sitting here right now that I feel confident saying will be in their championship game, and that's the LA Rams. That's it.
Yeah.
Everybody else, I think it's wide open. And, it for a long time, especially in the AFC, with Manning and Brady, you kind of knew, and Mahomes, you could kind of book a team or two in the AFC championship game. Right now, when I look at the AFC championship game, I've got no idea. It wouldn't surprise you. Could come up with pretty much any 2 teams of the top 6 or 7 or 8 right now, and it wouldn't surprise me if they are in the AFC championship game. My point being, the AFC playoffs, the wild card round is going to be an absolute snake bit. And if you can get yourself above that fray and get that number 1 seed and be able to sit out that weekend, which could be just a backroom brawl that weekend, then I think it's very important. Plus, it's home field. It's Denver. It's Mile High. I mean, it's all that stuff. It's the great crowd. It's the altitude. If you can have that as an advantage, absolutely, it's very important to go get it.
In territory that is somewhat unfamiliar between you and I couldn't agree with you more. I went on the air on Monday.
Are we becoming best friends?
Yep. I went on the air on Monday with Cecil Lammy, and I couldn't believe the way I felt like I was banging my head against the wall, where I went so far, Mike, as to say it's not a luxury, it's a need. Like the Denver Broncos, in my opinion, need to secure the number 1 seed in the AFC, given the fact that they are in pole position almost, or certainly within striking distance to do so. And factoring in the 12-week evaluation, the 3-month sample size that we have of this team as a collective unit, I think the reasons why that would be beneficial and or essential for the Broncos are obvious.
Yeah.
They have an incredible defense that is Super Bowl caliber, championship caliber this season, in my opinion. And yes, it can travel. But the offensive side of the football has shown pretty consistently that they can have explosive fourth quarters. They can have moments and or drives where it starts to click and you look at it and say, wow, this is what the Sean Payton system is supposed to be. But by and large, Mike, they've needed some massaging. They've needed a little bit of a push. They've needed some wind manufactured and into their sails. And I think that the best way to do that is the home field advantage. The crowd in the South Stands and the Mile High Magic, plus the altitude that has broadcasters on a week-to-week basis going, this is the loudest environment we've ever been in.
Yeah, and listen, I'm a path of least resistance guy.
Right.
In sports,
that was what I was saying.
And in life. I mean, there are some people, maybe Cecil's one of them, that's like,
that's what he said.
No, if I'm going to be the best, I want to prove I can beat the best.
That was exactly it.
Heck with that.
We're in a Rocky movie.
Heck with that. Listen, do you think I'm in a hurry to run out and get a first-round matchup, even if I have home field against Buffalo, Kansas City, or Baltimore? No, thanks.
Not to mention the fact that you mentioned, and I think it's a perfectly apt way to describe it, the snake pit that could be the wild card round and the opening playoff weekend because of the way the seeding shakes out, because of the fact that you have the perennial AFC superstar quarterbacks in Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Josh Allen on the complete opposite end of the bracket that they normally would be on. And the top is Drake May, Bo Nix, and Daniel Jones. I think giving yourself an opportunity to have those teams wear each other out for an opening round while you sit on a bye week and prepare, and then have 2 home games to make it to Santa Clara for a Super Bowl, I can't think of a single reason why that is not the logical and or potentially necessary outcome if we want the Broncos to reach that final stage. And it's like, that was Cecil Lammy's argument. And there were others, in Broncos country that were supporting him, was saying like, hey, you need to be battle tested. You need to prove it. You need to prove to yourself. And my counterpoint was, they've already done that. Every single game has been a dogfight. They are like, there's like that meme where it's like, God only gives his toughest challenges to his bravest soldiers. And then there's the soldier on the other, and it's like, please stop. Like, I've been the trials and tribulations are enough. Yeah. I'm just a Broncos fan. Like, help me.
Right.
And that's kind of how I feel. I think this team knows that is similar in the Tebow mania vein of like, hey, if we're within striking distance in a fourth quarter, Bo and that offense are going to come alive, and we've got a shot. I don't think I need to prove that by facing Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs as a 1 versus 7 matchup, or a 2-7 matchup in the wild card round. I don't think that's necessary. And your point about the path of least resistance, if the Broncos have a situation where they get the first round bye, they then face a Ravens team in the divisional round where Lamar Jackson's banged up again, and they're going to start a backup quarterback, and they get past there. And then the AFC Championship game, they're dealing with the Jacksonville Jaguars, who managed to pull an upset, and it's Trevor Lawrence.
Sign me up.
You know what I'm going to say? Ring me.
Sign me up.
Ring me.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. People love to chirp at the Nuggets for having the quote-unquote easiest path to an NBA championship, playing the 8th seed Miami Heat, who they dispatched in 5 games. You know what I said? Tough. That's a ring.
Let's bring this thing full circle, whether it's path of least resistance in the AFC playoffs or path of least resistance as to what I'm required to do on Thanksgiving Day. Sign me up.
Love it.
All right.
Love it. That's a perfect segue, which means it's time to hit the turn, presented by the Birdie Bar, Louisville's indoor golf experience. Check them out online or on Instagram at thebirdie.bar. And that means, of course, it is time to have a little Thanksgiving Day conversation. We've got a turkey fresh out of the proverbial oven here, and
easy bake oven.
Yes. We don't have a full gas hood setup here in the studio, but we do what we can. Microwave.
I had one of these with my daughters a long time ago. Yeah.
Mike, it is Thanksgiving Eve. I know that your family, my family, and families all across the great state of Colorado have traditions and plans and things, and this is such a family-centric holiday that I think we all get to enjoy. And I want to maybe inject a little bit of drama or controversy into it, because that's just my nature. And I want to do that in the form of a power ranking. And what I want to power rank is Thanksgiving side dishes, right? Because everybody fills up their Thanksgiving plate. There's a lot of staples and traditional sides and dishes. And then you have some kind of niche ones that are regional, family specific, personal tastes, etc. So I put together a list of Thanksgiving side power rankings that you see on the screen there. And I think mine might draw a little bit of ire and controversy, because I think the traditional number one in most people's minds, if I were to survey 100 people, is not number one for me. I put mashed potatoes number one. I went cranberry sauce number 2, and I gave stuffing the bronze medal. Green bean casserole for me went number 4. I think it's a very underrated and often overhated side dish. Mac and cheese there at 5. And then I doubled up on a starch with sweet potatoes at number 6. You can call them candied yams, sweet potatoes, whatever you want to do. Before we get to your rankings, is there anything there on my list that you feel the need to just rip to shreds?
I have no interest in anything of the vegetable family on Thanksgiving. I don't need green beans. I don't need
corn,
carrots. I don't need corn. I don't need any of that stuff. So I have no interest in veggies with my Thanksgiving dinner.
I can respect that, actually. I really can, because like I said, green bean casserole, I think, is underrated. But again, it wasn't in my top 3. Right. And, when you're starting to parcel out space on your plate without having to stack, sometimes you don't get more than 3 if you're really committing to those side dishes. So anything outside of the podium for me is optional, situational, and depending on how much room I still have in the elastic,
yes,
when I go for my plate number 2.
Sure.
What are your Thanksgiving power rankings, 1 to however many you want to lay out?
I saw the mashed potatoes. I don't need the mashed potatoes. To me, that's to me, mashed potatoes, they're just kind of empty calories. They just load you up. They make you feel a little bit heavy, and they take away from the stuff that really, really hums on your Thanksgiving plate. So I will have the mashed potatoes, but I'm not going to go overboard with the mashed potatoes. So they don't make my top 5. Number one is stuffing. You can never give me enough stuffing. Whatever kind of stuffing you want to make, stuffing number one without a doubt. Number two, I love the cranberry sauce. Love the cranberry sauce. One key factor here. I don't know. Don't put orange peels in the cranberry sauce. Don't like the orange peels. Don't need orange peels. Don't do there.
How do you feel about in the can? The jelly in the can.
I actually am a fan.
Yes, me too.
Cranberry sauce in the can. You're not. I'm not gonna walk away in a huff if you give me canned cranberry sauce.
That's what I think makes it so great.
Yeah. Number three, I'm gonna have. Maybe this is a regional thing, but I grew up with them. I love them. I love creamed pearl onions.
Creamed onions?
Creamed pearl onions.
I know what a pearl onion is.
Oh yes, creamed in a cream sauce. Pearl onions in a cream sauce. Oh, delicious. Maybe that's an East Coast thing. I don't know, but that's
Mike,
number three on my list.
I have never, ever heard of a dish creamed pearl onions. And it's so funny that you said that because we were talking just before we went live and we were kind of teasing certain things. And you mentioned something that was regional.
Dark horse.
Or dark horse, right? And all that stuff. And what was my response was, you're going to find a way to cram chowder in there or something because you grew up in the Northeast and all that. And Mike, if you put a bowl of creamed pearl onions in front of me and I came over to the Evans household for dinner, I would have thought at first glance it was a bowl of chowder.
Nope. I'm telling you. So
I think I nailed it.
Number three. Number four, and this is a newcomer, the mac and cheese. I've become a huge fan. It was never really a staple on our Thanksgiving table. But mac and cheese, however you want to make it, mac and cheese on my list now at number four.
You go a little breadcrumb on top. You get a little. Oh yeah,
absolutely, absolutely. So yeah.
The tip trick, the underrated thing with mac and cheese, because again, you can go. There's varying degrees of effort that you want to put in with mac and cheese. That's actually the thing I like about mashed potatoes and why they're so high up on my list is you can't really mess up mashed potatoes. I don't care if you give me the powdered Idaho potatoes out of the box with the butter; they're delicious. You want to mash them all by hand?
Probably prefer that actually over the
right. Or
homemade
you want to go baby reds, you want to go Yukon Golds, whatever. It's a dish that you can feel comfortable. People are going to eat this, and there's not going to be any fuss with the mac and cheese. I feel like you got to take that extra step. Breaking open the Kraft mac and cheese on Thanksgiving and just doing the powdered cheese and that.
No, you can't do that.
But you got to grate your own cheese.
Yeah.
Buying shredded cheese is not the move.
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. And my wife's doing all the work. So
get a little roux going.
Yeah. But and number five, I guess maybe candied yams, sweet potato, with a lot of brown sugar, crispy on top of it. That'd probably go, but
a little marshmallow.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Probably that'd be number five.
Yep. I think that there were, when I was doing,
but no mashed potatoes.
When I was researching, not in the top five.
Not in the top five.
When I was researching, I was surprised, and I actually was kind of secretly hoping that you would agree with some of these people so that I could, aggressively push against it. How many people consider gravy a side?
What do you mean a side?
There, like if you Google right now, Thanksgiving side dishes, like best Thanksgiving side dishes, gravy is usually like the number one on the list, or it's included in there in some fashion. To me, gravy is a condiment. It is not a side dish.
Look, if I'm going to pour gravy over everything.
Yeah.
So it's not a side dish.
It's a sauce.
It's
a condiment.
It's the finish.
Yes.
It's
because people say, well, cranberry sauce is a sauce.
I mean, it's everything.
People say, well, cranberry sauce is a sauce, but it's considered a side.
I put cranberries over everything.
Correct, but it's also cranberry sauce is like viscous. It's thick. You eat it with a fork or a spoon. You scoop it.
A side is when I've got my plate in front of me and I'm mentally drawing a picture here of where everything's going to go.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That's
you got to carve out slices of the pie.
Those are sides. Gravy is.
Mike, I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying when I did
gravy?
The research to prepare
I've literally
for this,
never heard that.
Well, that's your candy, your cream pearl onions.
Cream pearl onions, baby.
And also I don't consider, because to me, like gravy, it's factored in. I don't consider rolls a side. That's just going to happen. That's just going to happen for me. Yeah, I don't consider a roll a side because I actually consider it a vehicle. Like gravy is a condiment for my meal. The roll is a vehicle because I'm going to have a little nibble of each thing. And then the very next thing I'm going to do after I give my little sample around the clock, I'm going to cut that roll in half and I'm going to assemble a sandwich.
Now, do you do the celery with the cream cheese filling? Have you ever had that?
I have had it. I don't think it's a Thanksgiving rotational for me, but I'm familiar.
Well, you have the side plate, okay, and that's the side plates for
the auxiliary.
Yeah, it's the auxiliary plate. So it's a little kids table.
Yeah,
and you have your olives.
More like finger food appetizer type
just
pre-meal
olives,
stuff.
celery with the cream cheese, and that's maybe where you put your bun because you just don't have enough room. So it's fine. But I'm glad we had this topic because the quality of your Thanksgiving dinner is not defined by the turkey. The quality is defined by what you have for sides.
I have said, and I think this is what at times can make Thanksgiving a little bit of an underwhelming food holiday if you don't do it right, is that Thanksgiving might be the only, especially holiday meal or high importance meal, where the main course is not the star.
Correct.
It's the side dishes, the accoutrement.
Yep.
It's everything else that goes on the plate that really makes the meal, including like appetizers and finger foods and stuff you're making kind of while you wait for your 2:00 dinner.
Because let's be honest, how many of you out there have been to a Thanksgiving dinner where you just can't stop talking about how good the turkey was?
No. How many times a year do you crave carved turkey outside of Thanksgiving? Never.
Well, I wouldn't say never, but yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Have you made, legitimately, have you made a Thanksgiving style big carved turkey on a non-holiday situation, just a Wednesday in May?
Here's what's changed that whole equation, because I think not long ago it used to be that way. You'd only have it on Thanksgiving. You only crave it on Thanksgiving. But I do think with the advent of the smokers and the pellet stuff, that frying turkeys, smoking turkeys has now made turkey something that you enjoy other times of the year because there's different ways to try and enjoy that said turkey.
There was
I smoked a bone-in turkey breast about 3 weeks ago. Loved it.
Yeah.
Loved it.
There was a time, Mike, where stuffing was barely in my top 5 of sides. I have had to because stuffing to me is one of those things that's very temperamental. I think if you make a really good scratch homemade stuffing, maybe you put a little sausage in there, you got a little savory kind of element to it. It's great.
How do you feel about?
If you mess it up, it's just soggy bread and vegetables.
How do you feel about the stuffing that's cooked inside the turkey?
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Another thing we agree upon.
Yes, because I'm not a fan because, again, I think it becomes a texture thing. It's all too moist and too squishy.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
we found a lot of common ground.
We did, and I feel like that's a validating thing because I said to myself when I was mapping this segment in particular, I said, I need someone else who is a seasoned veteran eater.
That's
to sit
me,
alongside me, and there's no one better at this station that fills that bill.
That's me.
Better than you. Mike, thank you so much. Have a wonderful
you too.
holiday weekend.
And all of you as well.
To the rest of you out there, enjoy your Thanksgiving. We love you. We thank you for all of your support. We love doing this each and every day to interact with you and enjoy the wonderful Denver sports landscape that we currently have in front of us that is going to roll through the new year and into 2026. We will catch you.
Go Cowboys.
Go
Beat
Cowboys.
The Chiefs.
That's right. Beat the Chiefs. We will catch you on Monday at noon for the next rundown.
I do what I love what I do. Second nature to put in the work.